Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon, and today we're making a Lego Batman cake. And I've had so many requests for Lego movie cakes and Lego cakes and Batman cakes, so here's a fun cake for you. Firstly, cut out the template and join any of the big pieces that have joining lines together with some tape, and then make sure that the whole cake is going to fit on your cake board, because this is quite a tall and quite a wide cake once you put those arms on. Smear a small amount of frosting onto the board and then add your first tray cake. Cover that in frosting and then add 2 more layers of cake. Now I'm using 2 trays of chocolate cake and 1 white chocolate cake in the middle, and that's so that it makes it easier for me to show you how to carve the cake later on. Using the template, check that your cake is the correct height for the body of Batman. And we'll use offcuts to build up the head height later, so we're just looking at the body height at the moment. Place the template over the top of your cake and cut around it using a serrated knife using an up and down motion. The cutting template and the video recipes for the cakes and the frosting are all detailed on the website howtocookthat.net, and I'll put a link to the recipe in the description just below this video for you. Once you've cut out the whole shape, we need to build up the head section. So using one of the offcuts, take 1 layer off the top and add it to the head section. Then use your template again to trim that to the right shape. Now to carve your cake to give it that Lego figure shape. Take the cutting templates for the feet, the legs and the body and place them all over to the left-hand side of your cake. Then add the face template and place that on the right-hand side of the head. Now, using the template as a guide, cut off any extra cake that is on the taller layer that you added where Batman's head finishes. So we've got a nice straight line at the bottom of his head. Now I want to build up the right-hand side of his chest. So just like you did for the head, take a layer from some of the off-cut cake and add it to the top right of the chest. Use your knife to slice it down at an angle so that it comes down in a nice smooth curve like a skate ramp. Place the body template back on top, lining it up with the left edge again, and then trim the cake along from the top edge of your paper there down to the base of the cake where you cut before using the bigger template. So you end up with an edge that angles outward. Do the same with his right foot. There's not much that you need to trim there, just a little bit. And then the left foot. Remembering you're not cutting this straight down, you're cutting it out on an angle towards the base. Add the body template and indent straight lines across the base and then across the top and the bottom of the leg pieces. So now those cuts will be able to guide your next cuts. For the leg section, we want to almost take off a whole layer, but we want to have like a speed bump in the middle. And then for the hip area, cut a straight line down and then cut a flat layer about 2/3 of the way through that top layer of cake and take that piece off. Again, on the other leg, cut out a speed bump. And then Lego figures have that central join part between the 2 legs, so cut down the side of that and then round that around down the front and then trim off about 1/3 of the top layer of that so that it's taller than the hip section but a bit shorter than the body. Then for the other hip area, just like we did on the other side, cut off a flat layer about 2/3 of the way through the top layer of the cake. Now to carve the head. Place the template over the top and round off the corners on the side of the head and the cheek. Now we don't want to make this straight, we want to make it rounded like a Lego head. Then round off towards the ears. It helps here if you have either a printout picture like I do to look at or a Lego figure if you've got one would be even better. Now lots of people ask me, does anyone actually make these cakes? And the answer is yes. If you head on over to the website and look at the comments section, you can see some of the amazing pictures of cakes that people have made using these videos. And often they've never worked with fondant before, or they're only 15 or 14 years old sometimes. And that's the beauty of these videos. You can pause them and go through step by step. Trim off a triangle of cake where the body meets the head, and for most of the cake we'll leave it flat at the base where it hits the cake board, but for the head I want you to round it around towards the cake board by just trimming a bit off. Now that your cake is carved, it should be starting to look like a Lego figure. Now we want to cover the whole cake in frosting. I'm using a mixture of buttercream and ganache here, which is my favourite frosting to use for carved cakes. And once you've covered the whole cake, place it in the fridge to firm up a bit for at least 10 minutes. You can leave it for longer, but just give it at least 10 minutes. Now for his clothes. I suggest you buy pre-coloured black fondant for this, or you'll likely end up with light grey. And Batman only wears black or sometimes very, very dark grey. Roll it out on some non-stick baking paper. Then use the paper to lift the fondant up and flip it over your cake and then peel off the paper. Lift and smooth the sides of the fondant at the edges and gently push it down to mould it around the shape of your Batman, and then use your thumb and finger, just like I am here, to pinch and make sharp edges around the body and around the top and the sides of each foot so that you get like a nice crisp straight line along there. Just take your time doing this, and if you could be any superhero, which one would you be? I don't know if any of them have skills that would help in cake decorating, but being able to fly would be awesome fun. Lots of them can fly, so what other superhero skills there would you like to have? And use your ruler as you go around the foot as well to make sure that the sides of the foot are nice and straight, just like they are on the Lego. Now cut off the extra fondant, and I always cut this bigger than I think I need and then tuck it in. You can always cut more off, but if you cut it too short, then you're a bit stuck. Continue defining the fondant and use a smooth ruler that's not sharp to push in around that neck. Even though it's one big piece of fondant, we want it to look like it's different sections, just like a piece of Lego has the different sections for the head and the body and the legs. And use your ruler to make another indent across the body, and there's a guideline for that on the template if you need it. For between the legs, when you've trimmed off the fondant there won't be enough fondant to cover down between the legs. So just roll out a rectangle of fondant and then put that into place and press it on. Now for his face. Roll out some Lego Batman skin colour and use the template to indent where the mouth section is, and then cut out not on the indent but slightly bigger than that so that you have a piece that you know is big enough, and smooth down the edges using your finger so that you don't have a hard straight edge there. Roll out some black fondant and use the template to cut out the face, and then indent where the eyes and the mouth are and then cut them out too. Roll out some white and add it above the mouth colour to smooth the edges down. Now take the black and place it over the top. Put your template back over and use that to arrange the black into just the right position, because it probably will have moved when you were transferring it over. Peel that off your seal pad, or you can use non-stick baking paper there, and put it onto your cake over on the right hand side of the head. Using the nose template to guide the size of what you need, form a pyramid that's lying down on its side, and then put that into place in the centre of the face. Now for our white teeth, use the template, cut out some white fondant and put that on top, and you can use a tiny bit of water to make the fondant stick to itself. Now for the body muscle lines, place the template over and indent using the back of your knife where all those muscle lines go, and then take some silver luster dust and mix it with either lemon juice or alcohol and paint it on over the indents that you just made. Have a Batman picture in front of you so that you know what it's supposed to look like as you paint. That just makes it heaps easier. Now for his cape. Take the cape template and cut out some black fondant and place it against the side of your cake. We don't want the cape completely flat, so put some non-stick baking paper underneath it and lift it up a little bit using some scrunched up foil to shape it how you want it so that it looks like the cape is kind of flapping in the wind. For some fondant details, you want the fondant to set hard so that it holds its shape. And you can do that by either making them ahead and letting them dry out, and you can make them up to 3 weeks ahead and just store them in open air, not in a sealed container, and they'll dry out. Or you can add tylose powder to the fondant, which is what I'm doing here. You'll need about half a teaspoon of tylose to 250 grams of fondant. You just put the powder on the counter and then knead it into the fondant. And this makes the fondant dry out quicker, so you'll need to work with it fairly quickly and store any leftover bits that you're not working with in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't dry out. Now to make the batarang. Roll and cut out the basic shape and then add a strip to each side along the top. Cut 2 more strips and place them going down as you can see on the template. For the handle part where he holds onto it, you need to roll a cylinder and cut that in 2 lengthwise. Place one half of it onto the middle section of the batarang and just leave the other one for the moment. To make the hands, find something that's about the size of the circle shown on the template and take some non-stick baking paper and wrap that around it. Cut out the hand shape and wrap that around your cylinder. Now, one of those you can leave on the cylinder to harden, but the other one we want to put onto the batarang handle because once that fondant is hard, if you try and open it up to click it onto the batarang, it's just going to break. So to put it onto the batarang, what we need to do is support the sides of it. So I'm using cardboard covered in non-stick baking paper and propping it up with some foil underneath it. Put the other half of the cylinder underneath and wrap the hand around the whole thing, and then put that into place on your cake board so that it can dry there. Now for the arms. Take a chocolate bar that is bendy, usually the ones that have a firm caramel in them are fairly mouldable, and squash it and mould it into the shape of your arms. For the longer arm, take a lollipop stick and push that into the centre of the chocolate bar. Wrap it up using fondant and make sure the join is at the back and not the front of the arm. Fold in the ends and push it into the cake so it's coming out on an upwards angle. We don't want it flat, we want it like he's pointing up. Roll a little cylinder for the wrist and then put a small amount of water on it and add the hand. Now while that joint is drying and firming into place, you're going to have to place a cup or something underneath it to support it while it dries. Repeat that for the other arm, except that this one does not need a lollipop stick as it will be sitting flat on the cake board. Now for the belt. Cut out the yellow pieces using the template and then stick them into place across the cake. And then use your knife to push the edges to straighten them up. Then to make the Batman logo, cut around the oval shape and again use the edge of your knife just to smooth it off. Roll out some black and cut out the bat symbol and use a straw to cut out and smooth off those inner rounded edges. Lift that up and place it onto your yellow oval and then put a little water on the chest and add it into place. Using a paintbrush and some black gel food colouring, paint the belt lines across the top. You can see where these lines need to go from the template, and if you want to, you can indent them on before you paint them, or you can just do it freehand like I'm doing here. The mouth also needs outlining with the black, and then you need to draw that little line on one side of his mouth. Now, Lego figures are very shiny usually, so I'm going to spray this cake with an edible shiny lacquer for cakes. Now, I did a test last night so I could show you. This one is the black sprayed with the lacquer and it's nice and shiny, but as you can see here, the painted piece, the black gel colour has run a little bit on it. So to make sure that doesn't happen on our finished cake, I am putting a piece of baking paper over our painted sections so that they don't run or smudge at all. Give it a good spray all over. Once the details are dry, you can remove the supports, and the batarang is big enough and heavy enough that it will still need some support for its weight, so add a small black circle of fondant underneath each end. And there you have it, an awesome Lego Batman cake that will be the highlight of any party. Click on the links below to share this video. Subscribe to How to Cook That for more creative cakes, desserts and chocolate. Last week's video was how to make peanut butter chocolate brownies, and this button will take you to the channel where you can see all of the videos, and this one gets you to the recipe website. If you're on a mobile or a tablet, then all of those links are in the description below this video as well for you. Have an awesome week, and I'll see you on Friday.